Folks here who represented not only the county, but also our consulting firm, Forger & Associates, as well as members of our steering committee that are made up of water district personnel. We have some folks from CSU, farming, ranching businesses. So we have a lot of very intelligent people in the room. This is a great time if you have questions about your water to ask those questions. Before we get too far into kind of the introductions, I ask that Commissioner Gonzalez maybe say a few words about what we're trying to do as a county and then what it might look like moving forward as well.
Well, first of all, I just want to, I'm Commissioner Gonzalez. I represent the Southeast District 4, so I actually have almost 50% of the land is in District 4. And out east, if you were to follow 94 east to the county line and south to the Pueblo County line. And so I also grew up in an area that was terribly dry, Central California, which is, so as you've seen out there, water issues are one of the biggest things that they have out there. I moved back here. I love the area. I've gone to college here, so I moved back. And after I got involved, one of the things I wanted to make sure we did was that we preserve what we have. And as you, I think several of you have probably seen in the last year and a half, 2 years, last several years, land use issues, water use issues are a big deal. And it's something that we need to be conservative on and smart about. And it has been decades since we've done water reviews, land use planning reviews, and so we're in the middle of updating those plans, and we need your input. The last several weeks, last couple of months, we've seen some controversial land use planning developments come forward, and a lot of those have been water issues, and that's been a big issue. So this is vitally important for the future of not just El Paso County, but the Pikes Peak region, because out east in the plains, because everything we do here affects what's around us. Everything that gets done up north affects everybody here as well in terms of water. So I ask you for your input. Continue to stay involved in this process. This is going to be the first of 2 steps. The water master plan is going to drive our land use planning master plan update. And so we have to get this one right first before we go to the land planning use update. So I just want your update. I want to thank you all for coming here. I know some of you are here as individuals. Others of you might be representing larger groups. Please get your friends involved. We need to get your voices heard. And I can't beg you enough. This is going to be so important for us for the next decades to come. And so please get your input in. Craig, I know you're going to do a great job on this, but so I'm going to hand it back to you.
So a few housekeeping items. I'll have Will with Forger & Associates go over the various stations. This is an open house style, so we're not going to sit up here and lecture to you. I would rather everybody be able to engage in the various topics that we've kind of identified as being important for the master plan. First and foremost, the most important thing, there are cookies and water back here, so if you have a sweet tooth, please do indulge. We also have name tags up front. If you miss those, please write your name down. Also, we have a sign-in sheet. We want to know who's been here, what kind of interest we've gotten in various areas of water planning. If you want to put down your email address, please do that. That way we can keep in touch with you. And then lastly, there is a comment suggestion box. Mark, where's that at? Mark there. It's over here. Where's the suggestion box at? The comment box?
Yes, back over here.
So if you have any questions that you either didn't want to ask in the group, or maybe you didn't get the right answer to, please drop those in there as well. We'll try to answer those if you leave us with your contact information. So with that, I'll relieve you from having to hear from me, and I will introduce Will Koger with Forger & Associates, who the county hired a little over a year ago to begin this process. We are hoping to have it done by the end of this year. As Commissioner Gonzalez identified, this is the first step in what we're calling a much larger long-range planning effort by the county. We have several of our land use plans that are decades old, up to 30 years old. In my world, that's too old. That's probably too old by about 20 years at least. So this is the first step. We're looking at what what available supplies are in various areas of the county, as well as the demand. And we're also introducing concepts like renewable water, reuse of water. Anything else I didn't hit there? I think that probably covers it. So we're trying to be done this year, and then we are immediately kicking off what we're calling the master plan, and that's a statutory term of art under state statute. And we anticipate that process, which is again the land use side of things, will last about 2.5 years. So as Commissioner Gonzalez said, if you want to stay involved, please do fill out, put your name down on the sign-in sheet so we know who you are and we can keep you plugged in as we move along with these bigger planning efforts. So without further ado, I will introduce Will Coker with Ford.
Well, we do appreciate everyone being here this evening. There's a lot of things you could be doing, but here you're coming to find out more about water. That's great. And we know that with the county, it's continued to grow. When I was a kid, Pueblo was the second biggest city in Colorado. Well, Colorado Springs is long ago past Pueblo, and 1 out of 8 Coloradans live in El Paso County. So just to give you an idea of how important this county is in the state. We know it's a great place to live and work, right? Everyone's here because it's a great place to live and work. And because of that, kids are going to want to stay here, and more people are going to want to move here in the future. We just know that growth is going to happen because it's a great place to be. So the county officials recognize that with the growth that's going to happen, and the importance of water as the most important natural resource that we have, it's very important to have a good linkage between land use planning and water planning. And so that's what really the county has taken on as a proactive step, is to engage this water master plan and have a strong linkage by which the county staff and officials can be working well with developers and with water providers throughout the county to make sure that the plans for the future incorporate the land use and water planning, that those are strongly connected. So with that, we do appreciate you being here this evening, and the folks that aren't here, we're hoping that you'll be able to spread the message about what the county is doing with respect to getting a snapshot of the water picture in El Paso County, and then making sure that there's some proactive decisions made with respect to land use. So I'd like to describe here for you the stations that we have. Going from your left to your right, we've got 5 stations set up. We had the purpose of the plan, when you can come in here, is on the front board. And then over here at Station 1 is public feedback. We had a website by which we obtained public feedback on some survey questions. We had over 1,000 hits on the website, and we had about 380 responses to the survey. So you'll see some charts over here that give what the public's thinking about some very important water issues. So that's the first station. The second station is having to do with giving you some background on water supply in the county. And there is a very important supply called the Denver Basin, which is a collection of 4 aquifers. And much of unincorporated El Paso County uses Denver Basin groundwater. And that is the supply used throughout most of the unincorporated areas. It's a collection of 4 aquifers. It's very good for dry years and drought year supplies. It's a non-renewable resource though, so it's being mined. And it's when I say non-renewable, it means it's being used up more quickly than it's replenished. And so it's a great supply for a lot of reasons, but it shouldn't be the only supply we rely on. Just like when you have a investment portfolio, you don't want to put it all in stocks, you don't want to put it all in bonds. You want to have diversification. So you want to have some Denver Basin groundwater, and then you also want to have some renewable water. When we talk about renewable water, what does that mean? Well, over here in the background area, you'll find at Station 2, there'll be some guys here to discuss with you what renewable water is all about. And that's water that's derived every year from precipitation, rainfall, and snowmelt. Over here then at Station 3, there's the question of how much supply do we need? So through the Water Master Plan, we projected what the needs are going to be through 2040 and 2060. We've grouped the county by 8 different regions based on their water supply situation and the water providers in those regions. And so we've group those together and have some projections for each of those areas. But it's important to note that incrementally, there's going to have to be some more water supply added in many of these areas. And so that's have to do with how much water supply we need. Over here at Station 4, we have some important information with regard to when we bring in renewable water, much of the renewable water in El Paso County right now is already spoken for. It's already owned by somebody or appropriated. And so the question is, where do we get more renewable water? Well, the fact is that much of it has to be imported from other places. And obviously the Southern Delivery System is a very important project Colorado Springs Utilities has implemented. Pikes Peak Regional Water Authority has also got a project that they've done some planning on with regard to bringing in more renewable water. Much of our water, much of the renewable water is on the west slope and needs to be imported to the Front Range, which is very controversial and political. So it's not an easy matter to bring in more renewable water. But anyway, there'll be some discussion of that over here at this station. There's also, as we look forward to the future, we know that we're going to need some additional supplies. We also know we're going to need to use the water that we have as well as we can. That means increased efficiency and conservation. It also means reusing our supplies to the extent we can. Much of what we do when we put water back in the stream, that allows us to pull water out in another location. So that's one way of reuse. But then there are other ways of reuse. We can take the treated water and use it directly for irrigation, or we can treat it further, mix it with, put it in the an environmental buffer of some kind, an aquifer or a stream, go downstream, pick it up again, treat it further, and add it to the water supplies, the drinking water supplies. So there's many ways to do reuse, and that's going to be more and more part of our future, is to reuse the supplies that we have. So that's over here at Station 4. And then over here at Station 5, this is having to do with how we connect the land use and water demands, and this is speaking to efficiencies, being able to diversify water portfolios, and how the county plans to work with water providers and developers to implement the water master plan requirements or recommendations. So then that goes to the next steps. Next steps will identify for this process, how do we go, what are the steps ahead to get the water master plan approved, and finally, what are the steps beyond the water master plan to work toward implementing the recommendations. So that's going to be discussed over here at Station 5. All right, so that gives you a kind of a snapshot of what we're here to do tonight. Again, we hope you'll stick around and have a cookie, chat with folks about water, and be able to explain to your friends and neighbors a little bit about what the water situation is in El Paso County. All right? One more. Yes, ma'am.
You guys wouldn't mind on this zoning map over there, which is that bright, colorful map that Judy, hey Judy, can you wave?
Judy.
Judy, wave! Judy's standing in front of it. There's some little sticky notes. If you could just write your neighborhood and kind of stick it on the map, just so we kind of have a reference of who all is getting involved in these conversations, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Duffy mentioned that it's going to be finished next year, but it is only going up on the website.
Yes, sir. It will be available for public review and go through the process with planning commission. I can talk about that.
So I think there was a question about when it'd be available for public review. Right now we are looking at November 6th. Nina, wave your hand. Nina's not the one with the plan. Nina is the one with a card to our website. Everything that we do now is available on a program called eDARP. We have business cards up there that have the website for where eDARP is. On November 6th, if you go in to eDARP, you can search by what is the prefix, Mark? MP? MP 18-1. If you have any problems, you can call our staff. But it will be available for public review at that point. We'll be accepting comments between then and when we take it to the Board of County Commissioners for a report item, which will be on the 13th. And then there will be 2 hearings with the Planning Commission. And the reason why is because this becomes part of our master plan. It becomes an element of our master plan. It doesn't guide land use, but it's going to make recommendations with regard to water on land use. So those two hearings tentatively are scheduled for December 4th and December 18th. During both those hearings, there'll be time for public testimony. The Planning Commission will receive that testimony. You know, you can get up and say we're all in favor, or we did it completely wrong, or however you want to do it. But they will take public testimony at both those hearings. So they will be. Yes, we will post that. For specific questions about water, I would rather everybody break into the various stations and answer those questions. Yes. We received 1,000 hits on the website. Plus, tonight we're hoping to receive more input. That's why we're doing this. So if you have questions or you have comments, fill them out on the sheet, the comment tabs up there, or hopefully we're taking notes with the various stations. But we have a lot of water experts here. So if you have questions, tonight is the night to get them all out of your system. Obviously, we can answer those questions during the public hearing, but I'd much rather you have that information now going before you even review the document.
I just have one general big picture question. What's the role of the state?
The state doesn't have a role in this plan. The master plan is a document that's adopted by the county at the county level. The state, with regard to water, the state is a permitting entity for groundwater wells.
It's the permitting.
The permitting entity. What we've done here is we've really tried to focus it more on the land use aspect of how water gets used, not so much on the permitting aspect, because that's not within our jurisdiction. And a lot of people struggle with that. The fact of the matter is, if you look at the map over there that shows the Denver Basin, it underlines multiple jurisdictions. That's the reason why I think generally it's not allowed to be a local issue, it's permanent at the state level.
The state has a water master plan as well. Signed in December 2016. How is this?
So I'm sure nobody heard that. The question was, the state of Colorado has it's called the Colorado Water Plan that was signed in 2016. And quite frankly, this planning effort took its cues from that effort by the state. The state identified a gap in I think, year 2050. Is that right? We're looking at slightly different timelines, but they identified a gap for the state of Colorado, and more importantly for this region. So we took our cues from the state's plan and said, you know what, looking forward, with the growth that we're incurring, and we're going to incur more, we need to do something, and we need to do something now with regard to planning for water. So with that, I'm gonna let everybody go, break into the various stations. But again, there are comment cards, so please fill those out.
If I could answer any questions for you guys, let me know.
Well, I guess my question is, where's the rest of Colorado Springs? 1,000 hits, that's like 1%, you know what I mean? Fraction of 1%.
So this
Where is it really?
This master plan is specific for unincorporated.
Those are outside of the western boundaries. So what we've done is we've taken developed outside of the water districts.
That's, it's a credit. We still have that. I mean, the water you buy, we meter to you, you have first use, and that's all you got. We retain that because we then purify it, and we can send it all the way down. And there's an electronic model, computerized model at Fountain Creek that keeps track of all the accounting of that water. Because so when you're in the north and you're Denala or you're Woodmore,
Separate water suppliers we've identified in the county.
It's mobile home parks, water districts, etc. Many of those don't ever talk to each other. In the northern part of the county, there's a half dozen districts that are working together to implement a regional system to interconnect your water and your water and your water for emergencies. If there's a drought, the water system goes out, the tank goes out, etc. So the plan is going to encourage some of these, and then there may be some discussion on should there be changes in this to help other things.
Water sanitation requirements in that. And we have
So how do the developers engineer?
In the Denver Basin, your water is based upon how much surface area you have. So if you've got 100 acres of land, and it's a square, into the map, they're able to tell you that Dawson and Rappel and based upon theoretical models.
So Southern Liberty really gives them a hindrance to their delivery system.
That's one of the concerns that we all know. Based on assumption. What is that? I'm just curious. What is that?